What's up, guys and gals? This is Roy from Roy's Customs, and I'm actually thinking about adding a new segment here, so I wanted to run through a quick test run of my new segment. It'll be car audio Q&A, so I wanted to put together a little video, like a little test run, and see what you guys think about it. If it is something you're interested in, like, subscribe, comment down below, get your notifications, give me more questions for future videos if there's going to be future videos. I hope there is, because this was an idea I had. I thought it would be a real good idea to go ahead and cover some general car audio questions, everything from installs all the way to custom sub boxes and other stuff dealing with car audio. So anyways, I'll get started with the questions. The first question is how do I add a second battery to my car audio system to help with having more power for my amplifier? Okay, for the first question, basically you have your main battery, you have positive and negative. You want to have solid copper wire on your main battery terminal, basically like a heavy-duty amp wiring kit. You run it to a battery isolator, which is an electromagnetic switch that you can hook up to your ignition or someplace that actually cuts off power whenever you turn off the engine and you turn the car off. Then these two batteries are actually separated so that they're not fighting each other for the same voltage and stuff. And so anyways, once you go from your isolator to another fuse block, and then from the fuse block to the positive on the second battery. And as far as the ground on the second battery, you want to go ahead and connect that to the chassis. And your ground on your main battery, you want to have a second chassis ground. You want to go ahead and get another piece of cable or wiring from your amplifier wiring kit. You can cut off a section or just get a whole nother ground and ground your battery to the chassis as well, so that you've got a pretty good stable ground between here and here. Some people will actually just go ahead and run an entire cable from the front to the back, which that's fine if you want to go ahead and spend that kind of extra money on a complete cable, but it's not necessary if you go ahead and reground this, and then you ground this. And what you're going to want to do with your amplifier then after that, you want to run a wire to another fuse, and then you want to run your fuse to your positive on your amp. As far as the ground on the amplifier, you can ground it to the chassis, or you can just ground it directly to the battery. Some people say it's better to ground it directly to the battery, and some people say that it doesn't really matter that much. But I would just do it this way, just ground the chassis anyways for my amplifier, and that's just the way I would do it. But you can do it either way. It's kind of up to you. So anyways, that's really kind of the basics. We'll just break it down one more time for you. Solid copper wire, positive to your battery isolator to your fuse up to your positive on your secondary battery, and then a second chassis ground on your main battery, and then a chassis ground on your secondary battery. And then you want to run your power wire from your secondary battery to a fuse block to your amplifier, and then of course your ground can either be on the chassis or your ground can actually be to the second battery. So, and then you just hook up the amplifier as normal. So anyways, I hope that answered that question for you. do you know if the airspace is right in a fiberglass sub box? Because I do make fiberglass sub boxes, and I'm going to bring you over here to this sub box, and I'm kind of going to explain how I judge it. How I actually judge this is I take the maximum cubic airspace requirements and I build my frame based on that, and then whenever I actually get it fleeced, it should fall somewhere between the maximum and minimum airspace required for your subs. Whether you're using one sub or two subs, just make sure that your airspace is at the maximum whenever you build your actual frame. And that way, whenever you actually fleece it, it should fall somewhere between the maximum and minimum airspace requirement once you get it fleeced and all put together. I hope that answered that particular question. It's pretty basic, it's pretty easy, unless you want to do a whole lot of math that I'm sure you don't want to do. Next question here that I get is because when people see my sub boxes and they see that I have two subs in them, they usually ask me why do I put a terminal in the center of the box instead of like on the side. So what I'm going to explain to you is I actually do this because of the speaker wire length, and as long as you're keeping them an equal length, you can put your terminal in the center and run your wires an equal length. That may not make any sense, but that's such a short distance and there's not that much power, and how much of a variance is it going to be between a foot long cord and a 2 foot long cord? Well, it's just that I'm really kind of weird and anal about stuff like that, so I want to make the internal wires the same length, and that's why I do that. Now, as far as the next question goes that I usually get asked is why don't you use a divider in your fiberglass sub boxes? Well, I do sometimes. The thing is whenever you're talking about lower wattage, anything that's under, say, 1,000 watts, you really don't have to worry about putting a divider in, because as long as you're using the same brand of subs, they're usually going to perform about the same, so you won't have any flutter variations, or it'll be not really noticed that much. And another reason I do it is because I build such simple systems for myself. I don't really go over 1,000 watts, so it really doesn't matter. Sometimes I do. I used to, back when I had more money for car audio equipment. I would have a 2,000 or 3,000 watt system, if not more. But anyways, as far as dividers go, fiberglass sub boxes are actually easier to build without a divider. They're just way easier to build. It can be done, but like I say, it's a little bit more difficult because you usually have like a much larger crease in the middle, because you have to staple the center of your fleece into the center, and you have to make sure that it's sealed very, very well between each chamber. So it can be done, and I have done it several times, and if I do decide to build a big giant system ever again one day, and I do decide to use fiberglass sub box, then I will divide the subs so that they actually have their own chambers. But anyways, Okay, well, guys and gals, I hope this actually maybe taught you some stuff you didn't know, or maybe it was actually something you was searching for to find out. And here it is. Here was the question right here. Now, this series is going to depend on what kind of a response I actually get from this video. If I get a good enough of a response, I will make this a weekly segment. If it doesn't get that great of a response, then I'll probably just do it maybe every couple of weeks or so, and just to get them on there for like, just a lot of this is like general questions that I get from friends and friends' friends and other people that know that I do car audio. And then there's been a few that I've actually gotten in comments on other videos that I've gotten. So a couple of those actually came from the comments I got in a few of my other videos. So anyways, if y'all would like to see more, hit like, subscribe, go ahead and give me another question down below in the comments, or even just tell me what you think of this segment, whether I should go on with it or not. Because if you don't think that it'd be something you'd be interested in watching, then there's no point in me making them. But if you think that it would be a good idea to have more of this on my channel, then sure, I'd be more than glad to add more videos like this one, covering car audio stuff. So anyways, thank you guys for watching, and feel free to subscribe, hit the notifications, like the video if you like it, and have a spectacular day or night, whichever one it is for you. Peace out.